And we're live. Okay. Ripping. This
Good
is
morning.
now in a new place on Deep in State, on the Deep in State show. Pulled over from Gristle King and now sponsored by Goldhawks and Associates LLC. So, pretty big deal. I got to change all the backgrounds on this. So, I jumped on this thing last minute. Joey, Paul, what's going on? Who's in the background, Joey? Someone just
It's my
walked by.
partner.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm at home right now. I got to
It's
get into
like,
the office in an hour. You do these things early, and then I can't leave the house, so I just
yeah, yeah. And this apparently is
chill
going
with the
to.
coffee.
Nice. This is going to conflict with the community call, but I think we talked about streaming the community call to this, so we may only do 3 State of the Networks per month and then stream community call in one of them. But we'll kind of see what happens after the big shakeup last week. Everything's on the table. So, Paul, you've got a new sound system. It's looking good over there. What's shaking, man?
Yeah, new sound system, new microphone. Hope sound is better than usual. I
Okay,
don't know.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, great.
Let's see. We got the T1000 that came out, which sounds so Terminator-y, but that's the Sense Cap little tracking device. This guy right here. Oh, we all got. Joey, do you not have one?
I mean, there it is.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. the device that is on, it's a device that is
Don't
on
steal my keys.
Kickstarter and everyone already have one.
Yeah. I haven't been using mine much, but I saw that Miroslav over at Heliotics put out a really nice post on Twitter about how he's hiking with it and using it for a bunch of different stuff. Have you guys been doing anything with it so far?
I've just
That's
been
it.
trying mine out in the city,
Okay.
and it tracks me. It
Works.
works like it
Yeah.
does. It does what it promises. It's pretty smooth. Um, the form factor is nice too. I like the
Yeah,
sort of thinness of it,
Super thin, yeah.
yeah,
It's got
fully agree. Yeah,
temperature on it too, right?
the
and a
point
light
of thing.
sensor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a complete device. Form factor is really nice in my point of view too. Easy to put everywhere you need. So that's quite interesting. I need to test it. I see also the report from sorry, I missed the name. The guy from Analytics was very interesting. Yeah. What the device is doing is basically recording and storing the GPS position inside the memory, so you have a really good tracking. But does not mean that the coverage is everywhere. But so just take care of this. And what is interesting is inside it, you have different version. I don't know what version I have, honestly,
Hmm.
but I know that the version with GPS and the version using the LR 110, something like this, from Semtech, which is basically using GPS signal but does not have a GPS, and using the Semtech backend to compute the position, which basically means that it's less accurate than a real GPS, but it's consuming really less power and cost really less too.
Oh,
So
okay.
interesting things. I will detail all of this in a blog post when I will have find some time for this, but
Yeah.
it's quite a good device.
Yeah, it's super quiet. I've been trying to think like what can I do with it that leverages all of the things that it has? Because the tracking stuff is like great, a tracker. There's like a billion of those out there, but tracking and light and temperature, like I'm curious what they were thinking when they designed it, as far as like, oh, there's a specific use case at the intersection of these 3 things that's really cool for LoRaWAN. Um, but I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you want to track good lights. Is interesting to know if what you track has been open. So
Oh,
like you
okay.
put in the truck and you know if the door of the truck have been open and when and where. And the temperature is the same thing. If you want to be in a cold chain transportation, you want to know and make sure that you keep under -5 degrees or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this.
yeah.
You can do that.
Huh. Maybe what I'll do is I'll send my mom just ordered some paleo treats and I'll send her a thing and send her the charger and say like, "Hey mom, just like put this in your bag or whatever and keep it on you all the time because she's getting a little older and I can track my mom. Be a little mom tracker." And we'll track the paleo
Perfect.
treats and see if FedEx opens the box on the way, which I doubt.
A little snack.
But yeah, I mean, maybe that'd be like a
They-
funny thing is put a box out there and be like, "Hey, open this box and take out one treat." Like every new person who sees this, and then tape it back up, and I'll put some tape in the box and see how many times it gets opened. Which I doubt would happen that much either, but well, we'll see. Let's see. Joe, you're going to Tokyo, LoRaWAN Live. I saw that announcement. That's a pretty big deal.
Yep. Yeah.
You like?
I think I know of only one other sort of community member that'll be out there. 𝗱𝗵𝘀𝗀𝗄. He's gonna be there for the event. But yeah, we're doing a co-presentation with RAK. So RAK has their tracker sticker that's sort of coming out soon.
Yep.
And we get to tell a really good story. You know, that sticker leveraging the large surface area of the Helium network makes for like really good business opportunity. So
Yeah.
should be a fun event.
Yeah. It's cool to see it. It was nice when I got to talk to Paul in Santa Monica just about what happens with a global LoRaWAN. And Paul, you had so many cool ideas about how to build the business and like who to talk to. And the funny thing was, I had thought it was restaurant owners, and you're like, no. There's you can't go one by one on this thing. So it's neat to think about how those things can get big.
Yeah.
So
That's the most complicated part. It's, I mean, building a network is a complicated thing, but it's if you have money, you can do it.
yeah,
Depending the use case, depending on the use case is, I mean, can be a step-by-step things, or can be a massive things. So better going to the mass at first.
yeah.
Yeah.
Better to go where there's
No.
1,000 customers versus one. Let's see, Paul, you've got an auto script. Is this thing working yet, or is it still not there for? Was it migration?
The make it easy script.
Yeah. What is it? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I did that because I mean, for the OpenLNS, so you have to deploy a companion around, and basically, I mean, I build my source for addressing public large scale OpenLNS. So which, I mean, not especially lots of instances with people that will be skilled in Unix, basically, for being able to deploy it. So I made a documentation to explain all the installation steps and to get it running. But what I see, and that's really great, is that more and more people are deploying it not for making a big public OpenLNS, but just for using for their own fleet or just for trying. And so the installation steps was a bit long also to execute. And you have a lot of opportunity to make mistake when you pass to this.
It's always the case, right?
And honestly, also for myself, I had to deploy a new environment, and okay, I would like to make it more fast. So basically, I made a script that executes all the steps automatically. And so now you can deploy OpenLS, so chip stack plus all the companion around, all the monitoring stacks, or everything. I think it's something like 5 or 6 minutes, including the Ubuntu updates and so on. So yeah, compiling everything, configuring everything. And so basically you just have to answer some simple question like, what is your OUI? What is your server name? Okay, things that are specific. And the script makes the rest, including the API key creation for ChipStark and setups for the HTTPS certificates if you choose this setup. So you see, I mean, if you want an advanced configuration with selecting pricing and make all of this, yeah, you have to go to the configuration file and tweak it. But for a standard setup for doing a trial for personal use, it's really easy now to deploy, and I hope it will reduce the support question and also make for people an easier way to get it.
And then let's see, we got the MQTT thing. That's going to be live pretty soon on meatspace? I think it's live on your test.
Yeah,
MQTT is a big deal for a lot of folks.
Yeah, and to explain this, in ChipStark you have an MQTT connector, but ChipStark is more something that has been made to run your own fleets on your own network. Where I mean, you have one ChipStark for managing all gateway and so. And so basically, the MQTT integration in ChipStark is using the ChipStark MQTT server. So it's not what we are used to do in Helium. In Helium, you are targeting a MQTT server, which is an AWS
Right, you're running your own MQTT server.
yeah, or
Okay.
your own
Yep.
MQTT. And I don't want people to use the chipstock MQTT because I do not master what they do with it, and this is really a central component which I mean take a lot of traffic and can have a performance issue if you do wrong thing with it. So basically, this standard integration is not working in that case, and so I've created the external component as I did for the HTTP for processing MQTT, and this is currently running on my staging environment for uplinks. So uplinks are good; it's under test, and I will deploy it soon. But I want to deploy different things in parallel. The point I need to work on is the downlink. And here it's more a question of it's a bit more complex because the problem of security is I don't know how it's mastered in a legacy console, but basically the way it's done, you could send a downlink to any device, even one you don't own. So I hope that there is some verification on the Helium console, but there is no key or no secret for this. So basically, I need to manage a cache of scene UIs to make sure that we are not sending downlink to a device which not to the right.
No, we don't want to be blinking lights in Alaska by accident, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool, super cool. I'm psyched for that. Ultra psyched. Let's see. I saw Suburban Crypto. Let's see if I can bring this comment on here. I'll go right over Paul's head. So we just talked. Max and I just talked to Demo yesterday. Sam Lewis over at Demo is running their grant stuff, and they're doing Demo devices are on Helium. So we're gonna be blasting on Helium. So it's a super cool thing that's going on as far as just integration between two of these deepened projects. Joey, pretty clearly you got to be psyched on the mapper stuff because mappers are near and dear to your heart. So.
But frankly, LoRaWAN for Demo is near and dear to my heart for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Trying to get it going.
Some very early conversations coming to fruition. I didn't know Sam was at Demo. That's also awesome to hear.
Yeah.
He's great.
I was looking for profile pics because I'm supposed to launch, or I'm not supposed to, I'll launch his video later today. And there are a lot of Sam Lewis's on the internet that look nothing like the Sam Lewis I talked to.
Hopefully it's the same one I'm thinking about. But yeah. It's certainly a common name. This is formerly Helium Inc. Sam Lewis or Nova Lab Sam Lewis.
Probably. Yeah, I'll have to dig in.
He
gave me the right link to find his profile pic, but it's just funny because normally I'll type it in. It's like, there's only one of 𝗶𝗀𝐴. There's only, it's really clear what you're looking for. But this one was like, there's about 1,000 Sam Lewis's out there of all different shapes, sizes, and colors.
There's a softball coach out there somewhere that's Joey Hiller, and it really screws up my Google results.
There's a porn star in Vegas who's a Nick Hawk, so that is. I may have lost some business out of that one. I don't know. Maybe I gained some business out of that.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I'm seeing a couple things. This is just so that the folks watching, Fred, I see what's going on. Fred Garner, Spartan Blockchain. Good to see everybody here. Keenan, good to see you over here. Suburban Crypto. I know that we've switched to a new channel, which is Deep in State, away from 𝗪𝗁_King, and I got to reskin this thing so the 𝗪𝗁_King logo stuff is not all over here, but this is just kind of the first one. I'll probably make that announcement a couple times on the show. And for right now, it's sponsored by Goldhawks and Associates, but maybe we have some other sponsors coming on. Maybe Seed wants to sponsor this thing, and we do a little Seed moment with their devices because I know they're super supportive of what's happening in the whole LoRaWAN space. So. Yeah.
I know we talked about the seed tracker for a second, but I just the mere concept of this thing going out on Kickstarter and the success that it's seen is really exciting. I made my Twitter posts like successful projects are built on Helium, right? Like this is not a thing that would have really worked on other networks. Like you could, of course, use it on other networks, but that scale is the important piece here.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Huh. Super cool.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see these. We're over 51,000. Yesterday when I looked at it, it was at 30,000.
Holy smokes.
And so they blew past their target in like the first couple of hours, and it's just been, skyrocketing from there.
Wait, is that dollars or units sold?
Dollars.
Yeah. Okay. And how much are they going for? I haven't even looked at it. They just sent me one. They're like, hey, can you do some promo on this? It's like, yeah, let me just see what this fucking thing is first.
Yeah, it looks like they're going for about $30 plus some
Okay.
shipping.
And they
So,
sold about a
uh,
thousand of them or more. Over a
yeah.
thousand.
So, yeah, really super reasonable price. The service for it, so like Seed manages the data credits, right?
Yep.
And the console and the interface and the app and all of that. And they charge $1 a month, I think it is for that. So
That's right.
also pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And they should be able to make some money off that because it shouldn't cost that much as long as someone's not blasting taking the tracker and like swinging it around all the time on like an automatic fan and firing firing
Even
Yeah,
stuff.
but
then, you'd be hard pressed to surpass a dollar a month, I think, on data credit prices.
Yeah, I guess depending on how often it fires.
Yeah.
they are basically 50K, yeah, 50K today, with 337 people contributing. So that's quite good.
It's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, really, really, really interesting to see that. And what is, I mean, what is really interesting and waiting for is all the software that will come with this tracker.
Hmm.
And that's interesting. I mean, Seed is a hardware provider, device provider, and I mean most of the market is based on hardware provider. I mean, you take Rack Tracker. I mean, really interesting hardware, but it's device providing. So basically, you have to build everything behind this. Here, they with the Kickstarter, they want to propose the hardware plus the software suite, including the application. And yeah, I won't say they're the first. It's wrong. They are not the first. But this direction is really interesting because you can create service based on this. I mean, if you want to create a service for fleet tracking, you have the hardware, you have the backend, you potentially have the application. What they say in the Kickstarter is they will support B2B application, which is quite
Yeah.
important for them. So that's an
Interesting.
interesting step. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll think about a Kickstarter for the VO2 mask and we'll get that on Helium. That's an interesting thing to think about
Pretty cool.
Kickstarters and hardware and Helium. Like there's this kind of intersection of like, I don't know if I have. I don't think I have the mask on me. It's like I'd have to get Go Gadget arms to grab it off the desk and back. But we've got a new design for the thing, and putting that thing on Helium might be really interesting. But yeah, Paul, I hadn't kind of cottoned on to that idea that um, there's a cool intersection there with Kickstarter, Helium, and hardware.
Yeah, and the price also. I mean, when you are $29,
Yeah,
that's a Kickstarter price, but apparently the price will be $40. It's really not expensive for such a tracker currently. So
yeah.
yeah,
Let's see, JR. I'm not sure if that's Jeremy Rollinson or someone else. But anyway, customer focus group social media campaign helped make it more inclusive. Yeah, I think that's one thing that Seed is seems like it's doing pretty well is they're making sure like they interact directly with their customers, which is pretty unusual for an IoT company as far as like B2C, right? Most IoT companies are B2B and they're used to like the corporate thing like, hey, have
Fill out
whoever
this form.
Billy over in marketing fill out this thing and he'll talk to Sammy and she'll talk to Jenny and etc. And this one's just like,
Kill
no,
me.
just tell me what these people want and how they're doing it. So
as problem with B2C as always the monthly fee. That's what you have to deal with. It's really a blocking point. In B2B, there's no big deal with that. To create value, it's good. And B2C, it's always a blocker thing. So it's really good. I mean, if they have the B2C success with this, it's a good indicator that customers start changing their mind about
yeah,
this.
yeah.
And
Looks like we're getting the regulars coming in now. Everyone found this a little bit late. I think, and we can talk about this, Joey. If this is a good time, because Adrian Waveform had reached out to me and said like, hey, I think I'm going to do some governance calls at this time. Like, do you like? How do you want to work that? So I think we just got to shift our schedules around. But Wednesday at 9 is like the easiest time for me to do it. That's not Friday at 9, which is when I've got a call with GeoNet. So
Cool. Yeah, I mean, this works better for me. I don't have to drop half hour in like I usually do. So
that's right. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Wednesday's actually pretty good. It's usually held open for the community call anyway.
Cool. Super cool.
Yeah, you can do like live commentary next week during the community call. Play it in a window.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I think what I can do is I'll have to talk to whoever streams it. I'm guessing that's Keenan. and just give him like the secret, super secret YouTube streaming key, and then he can just stream it straight to this channel.
Hmm.
And I might be
Yeah.
able to do that. Maybe I'll do some live commentary like that, where I like a little picture-in-picture, like a little window down the bottom, and the main thing is the Discord. All right, Gray Hat is JR. Cool. What's up, JR? What's up, Travis? Good to see you. Siegfried, here we're getting the regulars. Siegfried is asking, Demo hardware will do mapping? Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't know if the demo team has like come out and said they had plans for mapping. Maybe I missed that. I tried to scan through their Discord, but I think it's entirely capable of that from a hardware perspective. On the foundation side, we're actually starting to scope hopefully a fairly significant rework of the Mappers platform, just
Okay.
for various reasons. We want to bring in a lot more data. I'm not going to make any promises there because there's a lot of things going on, but
I want a guarantee
yeah.
right now of when this thing's going to be finished and perfect, because that's what we do.
2030.
If
It's just, yeah, give myself some time.
if I understand well, demo you can run a custom application and demo, and basically there is business model based on this. So I don't know if there is some kind of free app you can deploy and that will in background do mapping, or if you need to be paid for doing mapping in a demo ecosystem.
Okay, so Demo said it'll be mapper enabled. All right.
Cool. Okay.
Super.
Oh yeah, there you go. I got to read their
The dips.
hip equivalent, the dip. Yeah.
The dip, man.
Um,
Dip it up, dog. One thing I also thought that is interesting on the state of the network is, we talked about this last week, a week before, is kind of making this a little bit more inclusive of other projects. And I wanted to talk about the GeoNet staking program, which is applicable a little bit to you, Paul, because the staking thing makes it so that right now it's just the GeoNet Foundation. They'll identify an area, they call it a super hex, where they need coverage. And the cool thing for miners is you can put in a miner and get 4x on your rewards. And that 4x goes up by, after the first 30 days, it goes up 1x every 15 days. So at day 31, it's 5x. At day, 46, it's 6x, like et cetera, et cetera. And it goes up to a max of 14x rewards. So if we think of this in terms of, any project, that starts to get pretty interesting. And right now, Paris is a place where you can put a GeoNet miner in and get 4x rewards. So I'm hoping, Paul, that you know someone in Paris that you can hook up with who's got a rooftop and a clear view of the sky and can put one of those things in there. But I thought, obviously, Max and I have those guys as clients. We've helped them with that. We're super excited to see where it goes.
What is, I read it. I try to understand how it works. It's not so easy, but you basically, I understand the same thing that you explained. So I'm happy. The question I had is, you order your GeoDNet. You will receive it in a couple of weeks or months. I don't know what are the current
The lead time, yeah.
Yeah, lead time. And the problem is, if someone is deploying one in next week, for example, you won't be the first, and you won't have the super. It's a kind of competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great question. So let's see. The super hex, if we put it in helium terms, are 7 res 5 hexes in a general circle. There's a center hex and then 6 perimeter hexes. The res 5s, so they're pretty big. And the first one to go into that super hex gets the full multiple. The next two, the second and the third, get half of that multiple. So you're still getting multiple. It's not so bad. And the way that Max had done most of the kind of tokenomics design on this thing that we wanted, it was that people would be incentivized to put a miner in, but to kind of play a game of chicken is like, all right, maybe I'll wait for that thing to go from 4x to 5x, from 5x to 6x. But you are risking that someone else will come in, because I've been telling Smoke'em about this. There's another YouTuber. I'm like, dude, get a thing in Paris, get your 4x earnings. So kind of a cool thing across these other deepened networks. And I think the other thing with GeoNet is they are also apparently going to integrate with HiveMapper and make the HiveMapper devices way more accurate. So what I really like is seeing these intersections of projects across the space, whether it's Helium and Demo or HiveMapper and GeoNet or whoever it is. Working together, because I think that's not the only way we win, but it certainly increases the luck surface area for the entire deepened space to work together.
Fully agree. In that direction, I also plan in OpenLS to add streamer connector.
Mm-hmm.
Need to find some time, but yeah, it's also another project where we can have good connection. And I totally agree with you. I mean, if we want to have the Web3 to and Deep in State basically growing, we really need to have all these projects to work together and to contribute all together to making the other growing. Otherwise, I mean, so um, I mean, if we take a look at about the infrastructure, and I mean, I'm really not sure that Web3 in terms of infrastructure is ready. But what I mean as an example to illustrate this is that I mean, currently I think all of us are giving a lot of money to AWS, to Microsoft, to all the cloud providers for running all our solution. But it's not making Web3 growing. It's more making the old technologies growing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we should be able to push more of our investment to Web3 solutions.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. Love it. Let's see, what else am I seeing in the chat? There's some like side stuff. Oh, Suburban Crypto had talked about. Can we touch on how Lone Star caught a hay thief with an oyster on helium? That was pretty cool. Joey, do you know anything more about that story? Should I get Tommy from Lone Star on here?
We should.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I sort of prodded on it. I just saw it on Twitter and we sort of went back and forth a bit. But
Yeah.
somebody was apparently there's a drought in Texas, right? And
Yep.
so hay prices have shot up because there's less hay to go around. And somebody was going on this guy's field, stealing hay bales, and the guy had enough of it, so he threw a tracker in one of the hay bales, and then they came and stole it, and they went and arrested guys for stealing the hay.
Yeah.
Just like super simple, like huck it in there, nobody's going to look for it.
Yep.
And yeah, helium, provided the backhaul there. It's very cool.
Super cool. You know who else is doing something almost exactly like that, but in the ocean, is Jameson with 𝗚𝗶𝘀𝗀. I think I'll see if I can put that
Yes.
in there.
So yeah, I actually chatted with Jameson a couple weeks ago, I think it
Mm-hmm.
was. And so he took Cargo, the mapper platform thing that we kind of the demo,
Yep.
and he managed to sort of beat it into shape enough to be able to run it on his own. It's some old code,
Yep.
and it needs some love. But he basically took a fork of that and he's running that as a service. And so you can go to buoy.fish, maybe you'll be able to screen share it, and you
Yeah.
can actually see some trackers that he's deployed. Whether those are in the ocean or not, I'm not sure.
Let me
But
see
he's
if I can
doing
do a
that
screen share. I'll
outside the
fuck
San
around with that
Francisco Bay.
in the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, super cool. And I think this thing might get deployed out worldwide. I think Jameson's thing was also that there's these things called ghost traps. So I think, at least in my regular world, I'm used to like everything working, nothing really getting lost. Like I don't really deal with nature anymore, kind of red in tooth and claw. But once you get out into nature and whether you're doing stuff in the big mountains or ocean, you realize that there's still a lot of stuff out of human control. And one of those things is that you can lose traps. And sometimes those traps get stolen. Sometimes those traps just get, ripped out by a storm. But the traps, when they get ripped out by a storm, don't stop trapping. They just stop the things getting collected. So you might have tons of crabs or fish or whatever just going into that trap. They can't get out. They can't eat. They die. It's like, it's a fucking shit show.
yeah. And the dead crabs or whatever attract more crabs. It's just like, it's this sink. It's a black hole.
Yeah.
And it
Yep.
apparently has like really drastic effects on the populations. And like, there's starting to be state regulations and all this, like the traps have to like self-float themselves if they're forgotten for, a couple of weeks or months, or remote controls, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a pretty cool thing to think like, and to me that meets one of the kind of sections of LoRaWAN where it's like, all right, for LoRaWAN, for it to be a good business use case, it's got to be, you don't need much data. You need the data to go long distances. You need it to be pretty cheap and pretty kind of robust. Like, and it can't be like super time sensitive. And if all those things are met, great, you probably have a use case for LoRaWAN. And it seems like the ocean and big mountains, I know the guy who invented LoRa is also using it in France, funnily enough, to find lost skiers. But it's like that's where this thing should be used.
Yeah, the buoys is such a cool use case because like even if it somehow floats so far out in the ocean, you could fly over with a LoRaWAN gateway and like hear those pings or something, right? Or there's satellite
Yeah.
opportunities for LoRa.
Yep.
So yeah, that I think Jameson's really onto something with this concept. So kind of excited to see that like further deploy.
Yeah. 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 It's like there's so many super cool things to go. I don't know what the post means from Fred Garner or bales from low flying airplanes. Apparently, there's some shit going on in the chat. Um, oh, interesting. You have to check traps every 12 hours. That would be on the East Coast. So there's,
That makes
I mean, that's
sense.
another thing
Yep.
is, I wonder if you start like pushing, and Paul, you might know this. Like if you check a trap, if it can show a different light that you've checked it, like once you go by and touch it with an NFC or something, and so from a distance, the Coast Guard could just be like, "Oh yeah, that trap's been checked in the last 12 hours." That might be like a pretty interesting thing to do, and maybe not even from a distance. You just look on the map and you're like, "Yeah, that trap's been checked because some NFC went near it and hit some uplink or downlink or whatever."
You know where that's going is
Mm.
like recording all of that to a blockchain as like you know, if you can only sign it with a, you know, as a specific user, so you don't have like a self-signing thing or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a. I mean, here we are, like at the leading edge of this thing, and like, at the leading edge of anything is like shit that's falling off and breaking all the time, but it's the leading edge. Like that's where you find all the cool shit.
We need to do a show that's just like wild brainstorming LoRaWAN ideas and stuff because like this is where like there's so many cool things out there. Um,
Yeah,
and there's not enough time to build them all.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's yeah, or let the trap tell you when it's full. No, I think it's like that's what I found with LoRaWAN, and whether I'm talking to Paul or Joey or Abai or whoever, or Jason or Travis, like any of these folks, you can talk about one use case, and the more you talk about, the more like solutions you come up with, and so it's really like execution is what matters here. It's not like coming up with a new idea. It's just finding one thing and executing on it. And I think that's a nice segue into talking about two different um, projects, which is Paul. Are you in out? Paul's halfway here, halfway gone. Is Uplink Engine, which is Nick Huff's thing, originally Helium Vision, started off as Uplink Engine started as a thing that would like take any LoRaWAN device or any device and display it however you wanted on there. So if you wanted to look at a LoRaWAN thing or an LTE thing or a Zigbee or NB-IoT or whatever it was, you could put it on there and visualize the data, kind of like Data Cake, but for anything. And on the other hand, TrackPack started off as only doing tracking stuff. So they only had, it was just one device. I think they had, it wasn't the Oyster, it was the Tab, right? I think I got my little TrackPack thing right here. And what I'm seeing now is those two things are like ships crossing in the night, where now Uplink Engine is going kind of hell for leather on just one thing, which is a freezer monitor solution. And Neil is now building dashboards for anything that comes his way. I'm curious, Paul, because you've been in this thing probably longer than anyone, what you see happening in the kind of LoRaWAN world as far as like what companies are going to be successful. Do you think it's going to be generalist companies? Do you think it's going to be specialist companies, a mix? Like what do you think is going to happen? Oh, you mute. Or maybe your mic changed. We'll get it. It's that new fancy mic
Uh,
setup that's fucking you. Nope, nothing's coming through yet. I'm not hearing anything. That's hilarious.
I'll kill the air until Paul pops back in there.
Yeah.
Like because like Data Cake, Uplink Engine, TrackPack, like they are good sort of jack of all trades platforms, or at least they're growing into those things. But
Yep.
there's also, I think, a lot of room for the very bespoke use cases.
Yeah.
And so if you think about like a weather station, like you probably want something that's really well suited to display you the weather.
Yep.
Um, and I've been kind of curious I've had this idea in the back of my head of um, basically sending a LoRaWAN weather station to every single person in my family and then creating one dashboard so we can also like our
Oh,
family
that's
group
cool.
chat. It's always like, oh, it's 110 in Texas. It must be terrible. Like, and being able to just have like a shared thing that we can all, be like,
Yeah.
wow, yeah.
I hadn't thought of that because I mean, we had the tropical storm come through. I don't know if it touched you guys at all in San Francisco, but it was supposed to like devastate San Diego, and it turned out to be, I don't know, like heavy rain and medium winds. but I'd sent my family my Weather XM station. I'm like, hey, if you guys want to know what the weather is at my house, you can just look here. And I didn't think anyone would care. My mom's like, oh my God, this is awesome. I've been tracking it every like hour to make sure you're okay. And it's like, oh, the wind's got up to 25 miles an hour. Like, we're fucking fine, Mom.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah, that's a cool idea.
I think weather stations are one of the easiest things for folks to sort of like. I've always like been excited about them as a LoRaWAN solution because you can
Yeah.
put it anywhere and you can see the weather. You got your
Yeah.
favorite kite surfing spot, like go slap up a
Almost
weather
anywhere.
station, and you know,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah. I put one out at one of our remote paragliding sites and it didn't have helium coverage and I just haven't gotten back to put a hotspot in. But yeah,
yeah,
for most places, um, it's there. Oh, this LoRaWAN Shark Tank thing. That might be a cool thing to do. And I wonder if we can basically get the channel big enough to make it useful so people come in and they're like, yeah, I want to help, just like a Kickstarter. And maybe it's just an adjunct to Seed's Kickstarter. But you just let them know what's going on.
Which one of us is Mr. Wonderful? That's the question.
It's not going to be me. I don't think I'm negative enough.
You could be Mark Cuban. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I haven't watched that show in a while. I watched that show with my wife's family one time. They're like, "Why don't you get Paleo Treats on there?" And it's like, it's not what Paleo Treats is. We're not looking to blow that thing out. It's just like a super
Yeah.
fun business to run.
Paleo treats in every Walmart across the nation.
I don't see that doing super well. But they're not. Although I'm seeing that when we started, my buddies used to make fun of me. They're like, you're selling a $5 brownie because $5 brownies would be super expensive at the time. And now, like at the little liquor store, they're selling brownies that are $5 that are regular brownies, regular ingredients. So
Yeah.
we're there. Let's see. Paul, you got your mic sorted out yet or no? You still working on it? Nope. Okay. Nope, I'm not hearing anything. That's amazing. That's like what happens every time I do a new setup. It's like, it's perfect sound, but nobody can see it, or perfect video and nobody can see it. So you might have to sign out and come back in again.
Paul, grab the whiteboard behind you. We can.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Lee might have taken off. My wife might have taken off. But she just did some new art that I was going to show you. If she's here, I'll ask her to come in the room. And she's been doing these eyes that are fucking amazing. And it's funny. I think anyone can relate to this if you have an artist in the family. And I'm not particularly artistic. I got all of it. She started doing airbrush stuff, right? So she gets this. I get her the airbrush gun because she's like, hey, can you just figure this out for me? Like, she doesn't like all the geeky tech, like the geeky shit at all. And so I'm finding the airbrush with the right millimeter needle and all the rest of that stuff. I gather it all together, put it together. And the way that I approach it is like, I'll practice with this thing. I'll do like a straight line and then see if I can start it and stop it. And I can, how close I can go. Cause you're literally just spraying paint out of this fucking, like an air compressor hose is the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got my little practice board and she was gone for a little while, going visit family. She comes back and I'm like, okay, here's how to do it. Like, you should practice and do these different strokes first. She's like, no, get out of here. And she sits down, just fucking paints this like amazing eye. And I'm like, God damn it. There's folks who've been doing this stuff for so long, whether that's you or Travis or whoever, where they're like, I don't need to practice the basics. Like, I've got the fundamentals. Now just get out of my way. Like, just give me the toolbox and then get out of my way. So.
Yeah. No, fun fact, I actually have an art degree. So it's.
Do you really?
Yeah. I did a lot of weird stuff, but yeah.
We should do you showed me pictures of the house you built. We should do a little show on the house you built that burned down.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's where the my temperature sensor is out there now, out in the Santa Cruz Mountains. So.
Oh, that's right. Oh, the whole wildfire thing went crazy, right? Like the smoke sensors for wildfires after Maui, which I missed most of the news about Maui.
Oh.
Lee came in, she's like, hey, do you know why he's on fire? I was like, oh, didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently it's a big deal.
Yeah. There's endless stuff. I'll bring LoRaWAN into any conversation, I guess. But yeah, to the art point, like I think the cool thing about art is it teaches a very unique way of problem solving, and it's sort of a very innate approach to things. And it eliminates a lot of the yes, no, wrong, right answers. And it's like you can sort of go and like figure your way out through a thing. So
yeah, that's right.
I have to imagine.
We had a buddy. Oh, Paul's coming back in. Cool. We had a friend named Tina Rath, and there's multiple Tina Raths on the internet. One of them is, I think, a full-on like S&M person, and then my friend Tina Rath is an artist. And I remember we were talking to her one time, and she was saying that the kind of word on the street was that the MFA is the new MBA. So Master of Fine Arts is the Master of Businesses, and it's because of the problem solving thing. Is that in business there's very rarely like a super clear answer. It's always like, oh, well, should we do this? Let's try it. What are the probabilities? It should be good. So.
Yeah, no, totally. I ended up not getting an MFA because I realized I could probably just teach myself everything I wanted to know. So that, I went to all these cool programs, and it's like, yay, figure out how to learn 3D modeling, or do programming with whatever. And it's like, there's YouTube now. Figure that out. So,
yeah. Paul, did you sort it out? You back? Nope.
Get the whiteboard.
Oh, shit. There goes that sound setup. Well, you'll figure it out. You can just start talking anytime. If we hear you, we'll get you. And if you can't do it this week, we'll get you next week. Don't sweat it. See you later, buddy. Au revoir. Yeah. Let's see. Jim,
he could do reactions.
In the background. Yeah, he's just like, what the fuck? We're not doing that. When's Daniel coming on? I think Daniel Spiller has been on vacation, and he just came back on it. But yeah,
I think he's back now.
But he
he's been doing some hardware tinkering too. We should get him on here. We'll chat about that.
Yeah. No, that's where that guy's strongest, right? Is let me see if I can drop Paul's text off. Is with hardware. Like
strong in a lot of things.
Yeah. It's like, dude, why did I get strong in weightlifting? That's so fucking useless. And running long distances. I should have been paying attention to geeky math and engineering shit. But
can always learn it.
Yeah.
And you are.
Yeah. I'm slowly doing my best to catch up. So the other thing, I'm trying to strong arm Travis into doing this, is to go back and do the hacks happy hour once a week. And I think he just needs some time off, and he's going to go do other stuff, but we'll give him a couple weeks.
Totally.
But yeah, Travis, it's open to you if you want to do it on the 𝐷rizzleKing YouTube or yours or whatever, like anything I can do to support that. Cause I know that a couple folks who watched this also really enjoyed that. And it was a cool thing to get together once a week and just talk with all the geeks. And I know a couple times I got on with a problem, and it was like, solved in 7 minutes by, someone who knew exactly what to do. So
yeah, hacks was super valuable for me when I was sort of, starting to showcase projects and, have conversations around stuff. I definitely miss that as part of like our IoT community. So strong support from me, but also like, I gotta respect Travis and what he wants to do with his time. So
Well, I think as long as it has to do with sensors, that dude's in. So it's just like, let's do sensors and let's fucking crush on that thing and figure out ways to solve problems with that stuff. I just got in, I think they're again out of reach, these little the 𝗍, I think is how you say it, the round displays. And it looks like it's a Garmin watch, and you can hook that thing up to, I guess, anything. But that's kind of my next like long-term plan, is like, how do I hook that thing up and whatever, see rad stuff on it. Let me see if I can reach.
It looks probably pretty cool on your little VO2 Max sensor.
That's why I got them. Oh yeah, I can reach everything. Cool.
Nice.
There we go.
You're basically telling us you're not wearing pants, right? That's what's going on.
Well, I'm wearing pants for this one. Let's see. So the 𝗍 sensors, and I mean the 𝗍 sensors came straight from Travis. He's like, hey, check this thing out. This would be super cool on the VO2 Max mask. And so this is what it is. It's this tiny little round thing, and it's got a bunch of shit on the back, of course, that I don't understand, but there's all kinds of like connectors and wazoo crazy shit that you can be like, oh yeah, do this, that, and the other.
That's right. And
I think Jason or Gray Hat told me that it was like, it has a camera on it. It's got all kinds of crazy shit on it. And I've seen super cool stuff you can 3D print out and make like a little globe that you stick it in. But what I wanted it for was, so this is the standard kind of mask that goes for, that is what we're going to build the VO2 mask on. Originally, it was something that looked like this. So this was the kind of original VO2 idea, or maybe it's the second VO2 idea. And then we have this new guy working on the mask design, on 3D print design, and it will be this thing, which is way smaller. And
This
it's
is
really,
like the coolest like cyborg shit that I've seen in
oh
the
yeah, this thing's
longest
gonna be
time.
fucking rad. So of
Yeah.
course, the Travis saw this, and he's been super helpful on hacking on this thing and making it work, and I think we got this thing working. In fact, I bet I can turn it on now due directly to Travis's assistance. Let's see if I can get that thing to fire up. Yeah, it's firing right up right now, so
Yeah.
it'll measure all the
Oh,
various
yeah.
shit that you need to see. And then you can start it and you can run your VO2 test on it. But the cool thing was like, oh, if we switch to this new design, this thing is, let's see if I can get it to focus on it.
A lot smaller. Yeah.
It's a lot smaller. It's a lot more of like it's a nicer form factor. There's still some stuff to fiddle with it on. But it's just, I don't know. It's like, I think there's a super cool thing to do with it. And the more I talk about it, I keep telling people I got this clear voice in my head, like, don't try and make any money on the hardware. Like, just have fun. Just have fun with it. Like, don't make it a business.
Right.
But maybe there's a play on the app side to like make an app so that it's easy to see. And then of course, again, Travis comes in and go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think. Well, sorry, I'll save it. Go for it.
Yeah, so Travis comes in and he's like, hey, dude, you can use, so there's a version of this thing out on the open market right now that's $5,800, just under $6,000. You can get this thing delivered. Everything works. It comes with an app. It's called VO2 Master. So if you go to vo2master.com, you could buy, a finished, polished version of this thing today. It's got its own app. And Travis figured out with Ubertooth or Wondertooth, I forget which one. He's like, oh yeah, you can just take the information from this mask and send it to their app. And so you don't have to buy the $6,000 thing, which is fucking rad.
Wow, what a hack. That's great.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's not going to last for long. Like if, once they hear about it, they'll either reach out to me and tell me to fuck off, or they'll close whatever loophole that is.
Yeah.
Although I'd reach out to them like, hey, dude, or hey, guys, or girls, whatever it is, I'd love to work with you. Like, this is what I'm doing. Pretty clearly, not everyone is going to DIY their own VO2 Max mask. So I don't think we're competition. But...
Well, I think what we see in the open source hardware ecosystem, like there's a bunch of folks who don't, who create their designs and they make them available for free, but there's always a little bit of a challenge in trying to like take those designs and then create the physical product. Like you have to have PCBs made, you need to order all of the components, you need to solder it, like there's all sorts of like stuff, right?
Yep.
And so you can be open source and you can also have a business. And I think it's a really cool opportunity for folks. Like you can set up your Tindy store or whatever, do a Kickstarter. Like there's a bunch of sort of ways to like create revenue streams while still like keeping the community engaged and like letting people hack on stuff and PR and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Travis is saying it's totally legal. It's under their license. They can... Okay, rad. Nice work, Travis. As usual, fucking crushing. And I love this profile pic of Travis in a fucking suit.
In a suit.
It's amazing.
Rare sight. Yeah.
Hey, Joey, do you know what a vocoder is? I gotta ask people what this, because all the folks in the tech chat I'm in are talking about this vocoder, but I don't know what the fuck this thing is. Or VOcoder.
That sounds familiar.
Okay. We'll figure it out. I figured it might be something we can learn together.
Oh, it's a musical instrument, I think. It does a
Is
voice.
it?
I don't know. Maybe someone will say in chat, but yeah, I'm not a music guy, so not my domain.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody's laughing at Travis's rad profile pic. Maybe we should do like some kind of thing for folks where it's like we all just wear like the most ridiculous suits possible and turn that into our profile pic. What else is going on? I've been talking. Let's see. Max is pinging me on doing more stuff on GeoNet. I think, we hit the staking thing. And if you were watching this and you want to see more on that, we just released the very preliminary staking video on GeoNet. So if you want kind of a longer thing on that, you can totally go and check that thing out. But yeah.
So Max will do staking on GeoNet. He doesn't want staking on Helium.
No, I think he did. I think he proposed it.
But we had a very contentious call earlier this week around opportunities for proof of coverage. I'm just poking.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think I mean to be super frank on this, and this was made public, I think this week, is that Max and I have been hired by Nova, and it's mostly Max doing the work to help those guys with what they're doing. But what we saw was that like, hey, we got to stop working for free, and so GeoNet is a paid client, Nova's a paid client. It's like, hey, and there's this funny thing going around where there's a couple folks in the community like, you guys are fucking shills. It's like, no, I'm paying my mortgage, man. Like that's how this thing has to work in order for all of these projects to have long-term sustainability, right? So in order for you to stick around and keep good talent in the ecosystem, you've got to pay people. That's just how it goes. And so I think there's some stuff out there where it's like, all right, Helium Foundation as a business has to, watch their bottom line and make sure that they can stay alive. But for the rest of it, I'd encourage all the people who are watching this who are part of the various working groups is like, make sure you get paid for the work you're doing. And that's not being a shill. That is like taking care of your family and your own life and making sure that you're able to stay around, because you can't donate time forever. It's like donating blood. Like eventually you're going to run out of fucking blood. So you got to make sure that you're, maybe
I will say donating some time up front is a very important piece of it, I think.
Totally.
And I think that's in both of our experiences, right? Like for I think 2 years, most people thought I worked for Helium, and I was like part of the community, right?
Yeah.
And you've really proved yourself as well, like showing value to these networks. So I think all of that goes a really long way. It's important to know when that line needs to be drawn, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the same is that I don't think I had anything. I didn't get paid by Helium Foundation or Helium until like 2 years or a year and a half into doing whatever I was doing. So I published all the blog posts for free. I did all the Discord stuff for free. Did all the YouTube stuff for free.
Yeah.
And eventually it came around. I was like, hey, do you want to create stuff for us? Like, yeah, sure. So yeah, I think, but it's a tough thing. It's a lot easier to donate your time when the crypto market is a bull market and you're just like, yeah, I can do whatever I want, but it gets less easy to donate when you got less coming in. So
For sure.
Oh, Travis is telling us his suit is a handmade custom thread. Is that something that V made, that his wife made? Would be my guess. So
Fancy.
yeah, very fancy. Cool. Well, I think we're close enough, Joe. You can probably cut this thing off. Is there anything else that you wanted to hit for Helium news? Anything coming up in the week that we should look for?
No, I'm mostly heads down on a bunch of initiatives, trying to. All of this is a common theme of just creating more clarity for the community, and we see that sort of across a lot of different domains. Still seeing people confused about the difference between IoT and HNT and mobile and soul.
Yeah.
Keep everyone keep sharing the word and trying to help people understand what's going on. There's still folks that are waking up again and seeing what's going on, and always got to keep them informed. And then new people coming into the network, still seeing hotspots deployed.
Yeah.
We need to make that as easy and smooth as possible. So, things are looking pretty good for the future. But just a lot of work.
Yeah.
I
It's funny. Every time I check in the general channel on the Helium Discord, and I used to spend a ton of time there. I don't spend as much time there as I used to, but every fucking time I check in, within the first like foot of back scroll, there's always someone that's like, hey, I just checked my hotspot. I've been away for a while and now I'm getting IoT. Like, what's going on? Every fucking time I get in there, there's someone that's there's someone that's checking that out. So it is, it's definitely important for a foundation to be putting that stuff out over and over and over again. And for those of us watching all the time, we might get to thinking like, why are you guys putting it out so much? But that's why there's new people coming in.
Yeah.
Which
really
is
easy to forget about.
Yeah.
It's got to keep reminding people that you can build stuff on the network. Like there's all, every angle of this. It's just like, as we know, there's a lot of pieces to it. We get used to talking about those pieces, but not everyone does. So,
yeah, not everyone knows it. So cool.
Yep.
All right, dude. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for making the time today. I will, I'll see you, I guess, next Wednesday, unless we shift this thing crazily. Or I think is next Wednesday the community call.
It is. Yeah. It's
right.
at least according to my calendar. So I think Adrian's starting to pull together an agenda. Maybe Keenan is. I can't remember which one of them grabbed that.
Okay, I'll hit him
So,
up and we'll
yeah.
stream it over here, and that'll be. I'll see if I can. We'll work it out. It'll be fucking fun. Something else to figure out.
Great.
All right,
Yeah.
Jay. Thanks, dog. Thanks
All
everyone
right.
for watching. We'll
Later.
see you guys later. We're out. Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
and subscribe for Christ's sake. Fucking A. That's it.
Nothing.
It's right
There it
down
is.
somewhere.
Yep. Yep, it's right there. Yeah. All right.